This time on ChinnyVision, it's a small world after all. Well, not so much a small world as a mini world, but this is a C64, the world's best-selling home computer. You know one of these, you've got one of these probably, you know what it looks like, you know all the facts about it. This one's a bit grubby. Acquired it recently because it's the original bread bin model. Well, not the original, but one of the ones before the C64C came out. It's a big old chunky ChinnyVision pen, still available by the way if you want them at ChinnyVision.com. It's the old design. This one's very grubby, big old chunky thing, heavy, and really what most collectors want to have, although I've had C64Cs up till now. Although I did buy one of these off my mate in 1993 or 4 for 20 quid with all his games, but that failed and it was cheaper to get a C64C at that time than get one of these replaced. Shame really, I should have kept that unit. But there's various options available for you today for solid state storage. You can buy an SD2, IEC or Ultimate cartridge for your original C64, but some people, strange people, don't want to be doing anything with original hardware or have problems plugging it into their TVs and don't want to use a Raspberry Pi. So they bought out the C64 Mini last year, which retailed for €79, about £70 in the UK, and $69 in the US as well. So I guess most people who watch this channel have got original hardware like me and aren't particularly interested in recreations of hardware. Some people get very excited about it. A lot of people threw money at the Vega. Don't know why, but they did. And this was another crowdfunded thing as well, I believe. And now it's available to the general public. And it was not something that particularly interests me. I saw one review from America from a guy who wasn't particularly impressed, who got sent one. But that was it. I've not really seen any reviews of the unit. But I was in Lincoln last Bank Holiday Monday with some time to kill. I popped into Gotham Games, a superb game shop, and bought something else I'm going to show you on the channel another time. But I also went to a shop that is called Cash Converters. Now, for those of you not in the UK, Cash Converters is a shop where, let's put it politely, people take their goods and exchange them for money. Perhaps they're unwanted goods. Yeah, let's say that. Let's say they are unwanted goods and definitely not goods that people have perhaps found, and they're then selling to the shop. And it's an interesting place to go. It's a strange place to go, but I was wandering around in there, and in the corner there was not a carrier bag. Please read, it's 100% biodegradable, apparently. White Hot will have something to say about that, no doubt. But I saw this in the cabinet. And I thought, well, £39, that's nearly half price, isn't it? That's potentially a video there. And I know nothing about this, so I could perhaps get this out on the channel, spend a week or two playing it and report back. Because I guess these things are going to start to be discounted now. This is probably, it's completely sealed. No one's been in there at all. We can look on the back. I know nothing about this. So what have we got included? We've got Impossible Mission 2, Speedball 2, Amulate, sorry, that's the Pickford Brothers game. Nebulous, Spin Dizzy, Boulder Dash, Nodes of Yesod, Iridium, California Games, Paradroid, Basic. Basic is included. C64, I wouldn't shout about that, lads. C64 Basic, even if you're a hardcore C64 fan, I think you're going to admit it's pretty bad. Creatures and Robin of the Wood. That's not exactly a hugely inspiring lineup. We've also got Anicat Anarchy, Amurite, Competition Edition, Avenger, Basic Battle Valley. Oh, we've got loads of games. Look, there's loads of games down there. On the side there, yep, £39, new and sealed. So someone's been given this for Christmas or birthday and taken it in. And please make sure to use an AC adapter that has been approved for use in your country. Oh, so it doesn't come with an AC adapter? Retro Games cannot recommend any particular device. Thanks, lads. Useful. I mean, you're not even actually saying how many amps you want there. Great. Thanks so much. Thank you. High definition output at 720p via HDMI. Sure, that's useful for C64 games. Pixel perfect display, US Europe display modes, and CRT filter options. Save game function. 2 USB ports, USB keyboard, as well as a home computer with C64 Basic, and add a second joystick for 2-player mode. Can it use original joysticks? I literally know nothing about this. So you might think my questions are really stupid here, but I literally know nothing about this. I've heard the joystick isn't terribly good, but I don't know if it uses standard connectors. Apparently it needs an external power supply. I'd heard that American guy complaining about the games, but, you know, I've got no idea, really, because he had a European version and he's an American, so he's not going to know games like Robin of the Wood and so on. So I think the thing to do is, there's nothing else here on the cover, made in China, designed in the United Kingdom. Retro Games Limited. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Break that seal. All right, let's unbreak this seal. I'm going to need will a ChinnyVision pen do this? It will. ChinnyVision pens, handy for breaking seals in a tidy fashion. He said, still, there we go. There we go, right. And as Dave Jones would say, we're in like Flynn. Let's zoom out. Right, okay, what we got inside? With another box inside the box. Right, I like that box more than the other one, actually. That's quite a nice, anything on it? No, it's like a shoebox, but with C64. There you go. You could put cassette games in there, couldn't you? There you go. If you're not putting this thing straight back on eBay. Oh, it's small. Wow. That's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. That's a lot smaller than it's going to be. Wow. Look at it. It's tiny. It's tiny. Look at the little keys. Am I just hitting the plastic there because the keys don't appear to work? I thought it was supposed to be a computer. It's USB ports inside, by the way. Yeah. Can you see that? Now, I'd assumed that it wasn't actually a kid's pencil case. That actually, for your 80 quid, 70 quid, you were getting a miniature keyboard like a C64, but it's like a pencil. It really is. You could have this at school and put your pencils in it. There is nothing to it at all. I mean, there's going to be a little circuit board inside there, but it feels like a kid's pencil case. So that's a thing. So I imagine then it's going to use some kind of virtual keyboard, C64 Mini, 5 volts, 1 amp, so they could have told you that on the box, but at most power supply should be able to do that. Made in China. Yeah, that's all she wrote, basically. On-off switch there. Was that a reset switch? 2 USB joysticks. Power in. Now here's the thing. It's labelled the C64 Mini. There's no Commodore logo up there at all. And if you look down the Commodore, where the Commodore key should be, it just says the C64. So there's no Commodore logos anywhere on this device. Presumably they don't have the rights to use it. Right, well, at least the joystick looks full size. Remember back on the joystick roundup, I reviewed a cheap Competition Pro. It's one of those, I think. Although the fire buttons appear to work, which is a good start. Doesn't feel too bad. We appear to have got buttons there. So is that our only input? Is that the only thing we've got to input with? Let's put this on the floor down here somewhere. And we have a quick guide in the original C64 manual style. Some games might trigger symptoms in a small number of users who suffer from or prone to epileptic seizures. You never got that warning back in the day, do you? I know it's very important for people who suffer from epilepsy, but how many people actually genuinely suffered because of 1980s computer games? Because there were no warnings. That was a kind of 90s thing. It started, people became aware, didn't they? The Mini home computer is a compact modern take on the home classic computer without any keys. C64 Mini includes a virtual on-screen keyboard. We work hard to reproduce the experience of playing the original games. Right. Retro Games Limited cannot be held responsible for any errors found in the originally published games. A bit late anyway, isn't it? I mean, it's like a 30-year-old get lost, you know? Oh, the rest of it's in foreign. May not be foreign to you, of course. And you also get a USB lead and an HDMI lead. But hey, what we need to do is do this. Yeah, I'd say it's not exactly C64 Mini, it's C64 Micro. Look, keyboard that works. Yeah, they've kind of replicated the C64. Yeah, power light in the right place. Has holes along the top there. Can't see if they're in the same place or not. No, they are in the same places. The vents are in the same places. There you go. They got that right. Yeah. Right. We're going to have to plug this in and see what it does. Much time has passed, about 20 minutes. I thought these things were supposed to be easier. The cables are ludicrously short, including the power cable. I've given up trying to get it actually across to the mains from here. So I've got a power bank over there I'm going to plug it into in a minute. The HDMI cable would be useless for most people. It's far too short. You'd have to have it so close to the television. It just also keeps curling around in the way cheap cables do. And it's got this mess of cables here. The joystick, yeah, that bit's okay. It's just a USB joystick. And I've got this little screen I've just bought on Amazon yesterday. It's a 1080 by 1020 by 1080 screen, so full HD. So it should be perfectly suitable for this. I've not turned this on as yet. I've got no idea. The power bank is there. Hopefully that should have enough amps in it to power this thing, or I'm going to go and get an extension from somewhere to run it across from the mains, because none of the supplied USB leads or any of the ones I've got are long enough. So yeah, and everything else I can power from this desk usually, as you've seen on ChinnyVision, easily reaches over to the socket over there. Supplied lead? Nope. None of my leads. I've got nothing of that length either. Right, let's plug it in. Right, so we're going to put that into that there. Screen on. Oh, we've got power. Is it going to come on? Come on, screen. Oh, here we go. We've got some sound coming up the speakers on the... I didn't even know the screen had speakers on it. I've just been using it with a Ubuntu setup. Right. By the way, it's a Coolotron display. It's about £115 on eBay. It's quite good. It's got little... The colours aren't completely consistent, but it's fine for what I want. I'm not going to send it back just because it discolours a bit there. No. Oh, right, there we go. Right, so we're currently... Now, am I supposed to be in 16:9 on the monitor, or will it compensate for it? Let's find a game No. Let's go through all these games. We've got Who Dares Wins 2. Let's get even closer in the screen, in fact. Let's do that. Okay, I'm not going to direct capture yet. I've just put it directly into the screen for you there. It might sound a little bit roomy because I've got two microphones on so you can hear the C64 Mini's audio. So we've got Winter Games, World Games, Synapse, Alley Cat, Anarchy, Amrite Competition Edition, Avenger, Basic, yeah, obviously, Battle Valley, Boulder Dash, Bounder, a lot of Houston games, California and Epics, California Games, Chips Challenge, Confusion, never heard of that one before, Cosmic Causeway. Is that Trailblazer? Creatures 2 is then? No, Creatures 2, Cyberdyne Warrior, never played that, Cybernoid, Houston again, Cybernoid 2, Houston again, Deflector, Everyone's a Wally, it's got Micro General games on there, Firelord, Houston, Quibbly's Day. A lot of Houston stuff on here. Heartland, Herotobotics, never heard of that. Highway Encounter, Hunter's Moon, Hysteria, Possible Mission 2, IO, must be a shoot 'em up, Jumpman, Mega Apocalypse, Mission AD, Monty Mole, Monty on the Run, Nebulous, Netherworld, Nobby the Aardvark, Loads of Yesod, Paradroid, Pit Stop 2, Rana, Robin of the Wood, Rubicon, Skate Crazy, School Days, Snare, Speedball 2, Spin Dizzy, Star Paws, Steel, Street Sports Baseball, Summer Games 2, Super Cycle, Temple of Apshi Trilogy, never heard of that, Ark of Yesod, C64 Hall of Fame, that's the people who backed it, Thing Bounces Back, Thing on a Spring, no, I've got Trailblazer on there. What? Uchi Matter? No IK Plus, Iridium, Who Dares Wins 2, Winter Games, World Games, Synapse. In fact, look, let's deal with the elephant in the room. The basic. How's this work then? Virtual keyboard. Right, okay. Wonder if you can plug in a USB keyboard to this. This is going to get annoying very quickly. Print. Where's return? Where's return? Where's return? I can't see return. Oh, return is one of these buttons. And that's how you program in BASIC. Oh dear. How do we get back out of there? Let's try Boulder Dash. Everyone knows Boulder Dash. Let's see how it works. And I want to see if it goes into 16 by 9 or 4 by 3. That looks like... could be... Is it 4 by 3 slightly zoomed? Right, I'm not liking this joystick. Feels laggy. No. No, I'm not enjoying the joystick. I mean, it looks good. The picture's really good. It's running on Vice, so you know the top C64 emulator. This is. Oh, yeah. That seems like more. I mean, it could be this screen as well, which I need to look into. How if there's delay on there could well be. But nevertheless, the joystick is not very nice to use at all. And it just, you have to hold it down. You have to hold it down to make it actually stay. Many of the criticisms I had of that knockoff Competition Pro I reviewed a while back, it's not much cop. Yuck, 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 yuck. Really no fun at all. You're going to have to use a better joystick. Find something. Get one of those USB adapters. Gameplay seems okay. Actually, it's quite a nice way to play Bold Dash, although I dispute the fact it's more convenient than the original C64 because this took far longer to get up and running. Easy to get it out of a game. You just go. You can also save state, by the way, in there by the looks of it. There you go. You've got slots to save games. You've gone to all the bother of moulding these joysticks. Why not give them numbers or something on the buttons? Exit game. Yeah, fine. That's an alternative. It's an odd choice of games, really. Although if you can put your own games on here, fair enough.
So let's go over to direct capture, and the music that loops around on the title screen here on the selection screen, the carousel, is already getting on my nerves. This goes round and round and round. You can mute it, but you'll have to mute it each time unless you've updated the firmware. And these are some display options. You've got Pixel Perfect, European 4x3 and a CRT option as well. We'll come to that, and you can update the firmware by going to the C64 Mini website, putting the file on a USB stick, and, well, it's done that quickly. Very simple. And that should fix a few niggly problems with the device. And if you update the firmware, you can also load in your own C64 games. So we saw Bolt Dash earlier. This is it running directly on capture. And I think the colours look slightly odd compared to my real C64. This is my bread bin that you saw earlier. And this has been captured via S-Video. As everyone knows, every C64 has a different output. It looks slightly different. But I found because it's emulation you're seeing here, and this is Creatures 1, the colours, everything looks very, well, emulated. And so does the sound. The sound sounds a bit too clean, the graphics look a bit too clean, and the colours don't seem to correspond that well. Well, it depends which C64 you've got, but everything's just a little bit too sharp. And over to, again, the bread bin we saw earlier, which does have a slightly saturated output, this machine, certainly compared to my C64Cs. Picture's softer. You can hear that much richer SID sound. That noise, that very slight noise level in the background you get with the SID. And everything's very much richer. And there's no emulator out there today that I know of that can fully emulate a SID or the little idiosyncratic bits in it. Especially because, remember, the features people use on SIDs are, in fact, bugs that were unintentionally put in, and, well, people use them to play samples and things. School Days, a game more familiar with the Spectrum, and this highlights a problem you have because if you want to write on the blackboard, for example, or use many of the controls in School Days, you have to basically use the virtual keyboard, which ends up being very annoying, and I'm stuck here and I can't get off the blackboard, which everyone knows is a problem with this game, but it's made twice as bad by the fact you're suddenly on a virtual keyboard. Who Dares Wins 2. It's a commando game, one I've been meaning to review on ChinnyVision for quite a while. Haven't quite got round to it as yet. But it's one of the games you may not have played before that is featured on this console. There's a few odd choices in here, and that's because of licensing. And Synapse is a game with lots of Houston games on the machine, and you can't really go wrong with Synapse. It's a fantastic shoot 'em up. Certainly one of the best on the system. Firelord, which we reviewed recently on ChinnyVision. And music sounds so scratchy. Sounds very scratchy there compared to my SID. I think I'm getting slight audio sync issues here as well. Everything just seems a little bit out. I'm told the lag is fixed with the latest firmware updates. I think there's still lag there, and there's a lot of debate about this online. And I have been told, oh well, you can't expect it to be the same lag as your normal systems because you're using capture. And the answer is, I'm playing this on the same setup I usually use. The lag is even worse than I experience when I'm capturing from a direct C64. And a word about the joystick as well. Diagonals are really awkward. You can do them, but you have to put an unnatural amount of force, or an unhealthy amount of force, on the joystick to play it as you'd want to. Is there still shaft in there? I don't know. Pit stop 2, you have to use the keyboard to enter your name. And you can plug a second joystick in to play against a competitor. Although, if you're playing your own games and you want to play with the second player, presumably you have to use a USB hub, because otherwise it's not going to work. I don't know how the device works with USB hubs. Crazy Cars game I've reviewed for ChinnyVision. You may have seen it so far. It may not be out yet. I don't know by the time I've done this. But it's a game I've got on my USB stick, so I thought I'd just load it up. And just trying to find keys to get yourself through the crack intro on the virtual keyboard. You know, sometimes you end up mashing the keys to find out what key some genius has decided you need to press to advance. You can't do that with a virtual keyboard. Here you go, infinite time, yes, no. So I need to go back to the virtual keyboard, go to Y or N, and then just, yeah, and now I'm like, okay, what card do I want to start with? I think I'm going to go for Lamborghini. And find the number, and then, do I have to play anything else now? This is very annoying. And you can load on your favourites and they're fine. It's all a bit too sharp. Even if you use the CRT filter in inverted commas, it's all too sharp and it looks nothing like a CRT. None of these filters do. It's ludicrous. Just a gimmick. So the C64 Mini, a device that originally cost £70, is now discounted in shops and available at a much reduced rate. The thing is, the Raspberry Pi exists with RetroPie. Now, I know you can set this thing up to boot up straight away and all the rest of it and plug your own games in, but basically what you're buying is a child's pencil case that looks like a C64 with a set amount of games in it. You can play any game you want on it if you load it in via USB, but on the other hand, you could buy a RetroPie setup all ready to go, have any number of machines and consoles on that setup, have a decent joystick. Okay, you could plug a different joystick into this unit and have something that's much more practical and much smaller. This device doesn't need to be this big, actually. Most of it, if you open this thing up, it's a load of lead weights and a tiny, tiny circuit board up in the corner. I can see a nostalgia market. I can see plenty of fawning reviews from websites where they've been sent one for free to give a nice review. But if you're the kind of person who watches ChinnyVision, you're not going to want one of these. And indeed, if you're thinking about adding a C64 to your collection and comparing one of these to a real C64, well, you can go on eBay. You can buy a bread bin or a C64C. These days, depending if you're patient or not, 40 or 50 if you're impatient, probably 60 or 70, 80 pounds perhaps for a bread bin. But you'll have a real keyboard. You'll have all the things that you want. It's a real computer and it will look as a C64 should. It will sound like a C64 should sound. You may have to find a way to get it into your modern TV, buy a little box, and I guess that's the thing about these devices. They're convenient, they plug straight in, HDMI. It's the kind of instant gratification, want it now generation. People who can't be bothered, to be honest, to actually get a proper setup going. So, yeah, okay, if you find one of these for 30, 40 pounds, perhaps you might consider it. But really, I consider this as a novelty, a toy. It has a place for a certain kind of user, but that certain kind of user certainly is not you or me.